Hello, everyone. How's it going? I hope you all are doing great. Welcome to my channel. I'm Fandelia. Nice to meet you. And I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we're talking about Excel pivot table. I'm going to give you a complete overview of how to set up a pivot table, lay it out well, with some tips and tricks along the way too. Pivot table is one of the most commonly used tools in Excel to analyze data. It allows you to take large information like this one and extract meaning from it. It's perfect to convey precise information and to make comparison. I personally use it almost every day at work. Now, let's take a look at our sample data. Here we have a wedding guest tracker spreadsheet. We have our heading across each column, and the most important thing is that each column has the same number of rows. Now, before we create a pivot table, we want to format our data into a table prior to creating the pivot table. I'm going to click somewhere within the data. Then I navigate to Insert in the ribbon and click Table. Then a pop-up message box opens asking, "Where is the data for your table?" It basically picks up all the data surrounding where I clicked earlier. I can see the little marching ants surround the outside of the data. That looks great. And yes, my table has headers. Press OK. And I can tell that my data is in the table now because I get the table design contextual ribbon at the top. And on this new ribbon, I have all the commands I can use relating to my table that I've just created. You'll see that disappears if I click outside of the table. That is why it is called the contextual ribbon. It only appears when you need it. I'm going to click just somewhere in my data, and I'm going to name my table. And up at the top left-hand corner, we have where it says table name. I'm going to call my table wedding underscore guest. Then press enter. Really important. When you're naming tables, you cannot have any spaces in that table name, which is why I tend to separate words with an underscore. Or you can have it all together, wedding guests, all one word. Let's step into the table design ribbon. Under the table style, we have an entire section of table style gallery grouped into light, medium, and dark category. And I'm going to choose light plum table style. I feel like that makes it look good, really engaging, and really interesting to look at. Our scenario today, let's say that a wedding planner asking for help to analyzing data on her wedding guest tracker Excel spreadsheet. She want to understand the final guest count, the number of guests who need a car from the airport to the hotel, and the total breakdown of the menu price. It is 6 weeks before the wedding day. The RSVPs are due today. and most guests have returned their response card. The owner of the catering wants to know the wedding guest count with the final details of the guest meal request so they can secure the quantity of food and stuff for a plated sit-down dinner event that is seamless with a memorable experience to all guests. It's going to be easier to solidify everything once the number is in. Now your task is to provide information needed by the wedding planner and the caterer about the details of the wedding guests. Here's your challenge. You need to analyze the wedding guest tracker and provide updates to the vendors as soon as possible. A pivot table, I navigate to Insert in the ribbon. If you select Recommended Pivot Tables, Excel will automatically generate pivot tables for you based on the data table that you highlight. It might be that one of these is perfect for you. I'm going to cancel this because I want to show you how you can set it up from scratch. So I click Pivot Table, and this brings up a menu specifying where you want to locate the pivot table. Excel defaults to adding your pivot table to a new worksheet. And it's a good idea to have your data in pivot table on a separate worksheet. So I'm going to press OK. The first thing is that you have a pivot table area up here. And then on the right hand side, you have a new pane that appears called Pivot Table Fields. Now you can resize this. You also can drag this to anywhere you want. The way this box is laid out, you have all the different column headers from your data. And then you have these 4 boxes, rows, values, columns, filters that you can put items in. This is a default view when you create a pivot table. But you can change this. You can adjust how you want the fields to look like. If you go to Tools, click here, you can select Field section and Area section side by side. You can also sort them A to Z or sort them in a data source order. We can now start building our pivot tables. In this scenario, our goal is to create 2 pivot tables. The first one is to provide insights for the catering owner, and the second one is for the wedding planner. So our pivot table layout or the structure will be focused on creating an outline to summarize relevant information specific to their questions. Right here, I have a field called Food Choice. I'll simply press and hold on that. I can drag it down to this area that says rows, and then I release. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see that all the different rows are now filled up with names from this food choice. Next, I want to calculate something. I want to know the count of the guests who choose from this food choice. And anytime you want to calculate something, you take a field. Here I'm taking guest name and I bring it down to this area called values. Here I release. And over on the left hand side, we can now see how many guests select this food choice. I'll select this menu price and I'll drag down into these values again. And over on the left hand side, we can see the price breakdown for each menu. Next, I'll select this guest off and I'll drag down to these rows. Over on the left hand side, we can see the breakdown items between the groom side and the bride side. We click anywhere inside the pivot table. The pivot table Analyze and Design tab become available. I select Design, click Report Layout, Show in Outline Form. Then I select Design again, click Subtotal this time, and select Show All Subtotals at bottom of the group. We can now see the report looks better already. Next, I navigate to Pivot Table Analyze. Under Fields, Item, and Sets, click on Calculated Field. Here you can give your field a name, Adjusted Price. Now, the formula can involve any of your field's name. In our scenario, I'm going to create a simple calculation that's going to take my menu price. So double click on menu price. I'm going to multiply this by 1 plus 25%, meaning I'm going to increase it by 25% for service charge for the wedding venue. Click Add, press Enter. This creates a new field automatically. And now I'm going to tidy up the pivot table headers to make them user-friendly. To do that, I select the heading, then click space to delete the header. Now I can rename this guest count. I'm going to rename the sum of menu price to total price. And also rename the sum of adjusted price to food and service price. Next, I will navigate to Design tab and select this one. Then resize the columns. When I right-click mouse and select Refresh, notice that the columns readjusted automatically. By default, the setting of pivot tables is to make the column width dynamic. To prevent pivot table columns from resizing, I'll turn off the auto fit and column width on update setting. How do I do that? I'll navigate to pivot table analyze, go to pivot table option, and uncheck auto fit column widths on update. Then press OK. Now I'm going to expand this to size I want. When I right mouse click and refresh, this will stay put. Okay, the first pivot table is ready. This is for the owner of the catering. So I'll rename the spreadsheet to catering. To do that, just right click it, then choose rename from the menu, type catering, then press enter. While I'm here, let me change the color too. Next, we will create a second pivot table. I'm gonna go back to our data table, then go to Insert, click Pivot Table. A new worksheet is created. Over on the right hand side, I'm gonna choose Relationship for the rows, Guest name for the values. I'll select Guest location field for the columns. I want the out of town only data. So I'm going to filter out in town by this selected. And I want to bring the guest off field over the rows as well. Over on the left hand side, you'll see that all the different rows are now filled up with names from the relationship field with the total count. Next, I will format the layout, show in outline form, then subtotals, show all subtotals at bottom of the group, and then the grand total on for column only. And then under design, I choose pink pivot style like 13 for my pivot table style. And now I navigate to view, then uncheck the grid lines for the finishing touch. I'm going to rename this spreadsheet to out of town and change the color as well. In case if you're wondering what makes up a specific number in the pivot table, all you have to do is double click on it and you're going to get all the detail. Lastly, I want to show you how to sort the data within the pivot table. Let's say that I want to sort the food and service price information in a descending order, so from the largest amount to the smallest. One way to do this is by going to auto sort here, choose more sort option, click descending, then select food and service price, then press OK. So this wrap up my pivot table overview. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day and I'll catch you in the next video.